Hi to anyone who's watching. Today we are going to be drawing Mega Charizard Y, and I chose this one because I just feel it looks a lot cooler than Charizard X. What I'm going to be talking about here is just how I went through it, what my thoughts were. So usually whenever I start the drawing, I do a quick sketch first of how it would roughly look, and of course before any of that I would actually gather some reference to have an idea of what whatever I'm drawing would look like. So this one here, I started off with just the drawing before going into any painting or anything. And usually whenever I start, I would just start with basic shapes and then just some lines just to basically mark where things would be. At this stage, I'm still sketching. However, as I'm sketching it, I'm doing very slight bits of cleanup on it, just so it'll be easier for me later on to tell what's going on. And what I would just basically do here is that I would have the basic sketch on one layer, and then I would lower the opacity on it. And then after I lower the opacity, I would create a new layer on top for more of the cleanup. And I'm no expert here with line work, but I try to do my best, because when you're drawing with lines are the easiest and most quick way that you can actually achieve a finished drawing. Because if you go in trying to paint it straight away, it's actually going to take a lot longer. But in this case, for me, lines are really difficult to do. So really, I'm just going in here, just going back and forth, trying to make the clean lines, so that it'll be easier when I lay in the colors later on. I'm doing this all off of my Intuos tablet. It's an Intuos 3, and I haven't felt the need to really upgrade it because I'm completely happy with what I'm using right now. And because I'm using an Intuos 3 tablet and it's not a Cintiq or anything, I have to constantly go back and forth and undo the lines or delete the lines, erase the lines, and then go back and then redraw it, which is something that's unavoidable when you're doing line work off of just a tablet. And I'm working on a monitor that has a 21:9 ratio, and the Intuos 3 tablet is a 16:9 ratio. As you're drawing, the ratio actually gets distorted, so it's actually very difficult. So I had to try to rearrange everything in the tablet settings just to make it conform a little bit better, but still it was really difficult to draw because of the distortion from the 16:9 to 21:9 ratio. So moving on, you just go in to lay the base colors in. There's the oranges, the blues, and then this is also a bit of a hassle too, because you have to go in and then make it very, very clean, so that later on when you're actually working with it, you can just add some sort of a clipping mask or something on top so that you'll have an easier time later on. And of course you could use the paint bucket too, but then when you're drawing the lines have to be perfectly, completely solid, and then they all have to connect. And sometimes when it doesn't connect, the paint bucket tool doesn't work all that well. When the lines aren't closed, it's gonna go out of the lines. So right now I'm starting to define the light and the shadow areas just by laying a line, and then I put in some really, really faint colors, and at the same time I'm also smudging it just to make everything smoother. When you smudge it, it actually creates that transition to make everything look more three-dimensional and round. It creates the softer edges. And right now all I'm really doing is just painting all the light areas, all the areas with the light in it, and then thinking about how the light is actually hitting on those parts. And I'm thinking about how the shadows would work and how something in front of something else is going to create some sort of a cast shadow. So here I'm adding a slightly more saturated and darker color in between the lights and the darks, because that's what really creates a three-dimensional shape on top of the softer edges, because you need something called the terminator, which really brings the form into the drawings. And here with the flame, still adding just basic colors into it. And then a cheap and easy way to really just paint the flames is to add the two colors and then just smudge them around a bit. After that, in the shadows, I'm putting just a little bit of a bounce light, and it's sort of a desaturated blue color just to create a little bit more visual interest into it. And it also helps to create more three-dimensional form. And here, one of the last parts is that I'm creating a color dodge layer right on top of everything to really accentuate the light coming from the flame of the tail and a little bit of that bounce light that's coming from the back. Yeah, and finally, with the very first layer of color that I laid down, I actually laid it flat all around the drawing. When I'm adding colors and when I'm painting on top of the drawing, I don't actually have to worry about staying in the lines or going out of the lines. I'm just focused more so on creating that form just to make everything and bring everything to life. I actually control-clicked onto layer 3, which creates a marquee around whatever objects or whatever has been painted within that layer. And what I do is I hold Control-Shift-I to inverse that marquee, and then I go to all the other layers where the painting has gone out of those lines. From there, I just delete everything. So it would create a clean painting where everything stays in the lines. So thank you for watching. If you guys enjoyed it, let me know. And if there's anything you'd like to see, please let me know too. I might actually do it. See you guys next time.